When George and I went to college together in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, we made the drunken decision one night to start playing Dungeons & Dragons, and we've never looked back.
That's right. I became the game master for Nick and a bunch of our other actor-comedian friends, telling crazy and hilarious stories together. So now we're going to bring some new ones to you.
George builds the world and the framework for a wild story, and I, along with an ever-rotating cast, adventure through it, rolling dice to see if our actions gloriously succeed or fail miserably on a quest to tell the tallest tale possible.
We'll be using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules for the most part, with a few minor tweaks. For example, when we roll 20-sided dice, 20s are automatic successes and 1s are botches or automatic failures, which I'll roll severity for on a 100-sided die. Why? Because when we're at the table, I am God.
These little sagas do follow a linear plot. So, if you want to know fully what's going on, we highly recommend starting at the beginning and following along. Without further ado, welcome to Hero Club. We had done what that fat cat Lazy Al wanted, and for that we had the Don's blessing. It was time for some personal payback of our own, if we could only find the goddamn Kraut car that shot at us. Lucky for us, Chuck and I were hitting the books and trying to figure out the skinny on those squid bastards when we got a call from a certain inside man.
Hero Club presents It Never Sleeps, a Hank Blackstone mystery. Chapter 3, The Short Deck. 2 days have passed. We find Hank Blackstone and his partner Charlie throwing back a pair of cocktails, a classic dirty martini with 3 olives for Hank, an enormous pina colada for Charlie. They're huddled around a massive book that looks absolutely ancient with thick red leather binding.
I don't know, Hank. This looks like something between a Shoggoth and a Dark Mantle. I can't find exactly what it is in any of our books. I'm guessing that based on how I hit it, these things are a lot like an octopus with the whole camouflage thing, but also seem to be able to operate effectively independent of water, so this is either something ancient that Dante never discovered, or, it's something new.
After safely delivering soapy-eyed Jim back to mafioso Alphonse Moretti, the scarred henchman was able to vouch for the 2 PIs, and Moretti was just about as pleased as he could get. After sending you 2 home with his thanks, he sent along a letter.
Blackstone, old soapy-eyed Jim is going to be okay. But more importantly, he told me everything. I won't pretend to understand it all. I don't even know if I believe it. Most of it sounded like the ravings of a madman. But I know when I'm being lied to. And he wasn't lying. We're friends now, and I take care of my friends. Here's a number where you can call when you need a favor. Me and my family are putting an ear to the ground to see what we can learn about whose fucking car that was, whatever the hell is going on. As you said, chaos is no friend of ours. Signed, Lazy Al.
Suddenly, the phone rings.
Dante's Inferno, home of magic and mystery. This is Hank speaking.
Hank, it's your inside man.
Dick McCoy, the inside man. How's it going, Dick?
Oh, you know, it's real boring over here. Not much to do in the office. I took my gun out when I wasn't supposed to have it out, and apparently they're not super, excited about that. So I'm not allowed to carry a gun anymore, which is okay.
Is his gun out?
Yeah, he's talking about how he took his gun out inappropriately like he did the last time. Dick, we talked about this when we were with you. You can't just whip your gun out.
No, I know. It's gone. The chief put it in his desk, and he said I could have it back in a week, and we'll see. Oh yeah, I forgot. I called you because I had something to tell you. Okay, so you remember that number you gave me on the back of the car plates?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we found it. We found the car. It's in the driveway.
He looks up an address, you assume. You hear shuffling papers on the other end of the telephone.
It's on the Lower East Side, 1st and 3rd. You got that?
I got it. Thanks, Dick. You're doing good work over there.
Yeah, you're inside man. Dick on the inside.
Hank hangs up. Well, looks like we got an address for that black Mercedes.
Oh man, what a humdinger. Where is it?
1st and 3rd. You ready for an outing?
I'm always ready for an outing. You, wanna touch me up real quick?
Sure thing.
Give me the Cary Grant. I wanna look good.
Cary Grant, you got it. Hank walks over, pulls out his big makeup kit, and makes Charlie up as best as he can like Cary Grant.
Roll sleight of hand check.
23.
Some of the best makeup work you've ever done. He almost looks a little bit like Cary Grant, but he definitely looks like a person. This is some pretty solid makeup on your part.
Wow, Hank, you've outdone yourself. I'm the handsomest gentleman in all of New York.
As he says that, he steps into like a harsh light and it looks horrendous.
Don't I look good?
Yeah, we should still probably keep you to the shadows, Chuck. You still got visible lines on your face where the rocks meet each other.
Oh, so you're saying I'm not daylight handsome?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you're different.
Yeah, I know. Oh, hold on. Word of the day is... Charlie goes over to his word of the day calendar and takes down contrite. Nebbish. Timid, meek, or ineffectual person.
Nevish, that's a good one. Hank throws on his suit jacket and his black overcoat and steps outside, grabbing his hat on the way out.
You guys step out. It's about 7 p.m. The sun is almost entirely down. There's maybe a few minutes of twilight left. As you guys get out back onto the curb and you start to head off, you see a hand wave to you from the alley across the street.
Hey, Tickles, we're in a little bit of a rush.
Well, sure thing, fellas, but don't you want to hear the update? I got a doozy for you. I promise it's not just a bunch of crap like last time. I could tell it was because I saw you were sad when you left.
Can you walk and talk?
Sure thing. Hops in line with you guys. His coat is disgustingly ragged. As he's walking next to you, he's reaching into his coat pocket and pulling out birdseed and eating it as he's talking. Old lady's just throwing the stuff away. And he's just chewing on it as he walks next to you.
Hank, do humans eat bird seed?
No, humans don't eat birdseed.
He keeps throwing some more and more in his mouth. He's finally talking to you with a full mouth, and he's giving you the update. Well, let me think. There was the mailman as usual, dropped off a big stack of bills, which consequently blew away. So you're gonna have to go probably chase those down somewhere. I got a few of them right here. He pulls a full stack of them out and he goes, this is about half of them, and hands them to you.
Thanks.
Oh, and some big Italian-looking fellas said they were waiting to see how it all went, or they were gonna kill you.
That's interesting. I think it turned out okay.
So you saying nothing to worry about from those Italians?
I think we smoothed it all over with them.
Well, all right then. Guess that's all I got to report. Just watch out for us Irish. We're sneaky. All right. Y'all have a good one, fellas.
That was it?
He tends to, exaggerate.
I mean, he was so excited about that birdseed he forgot to ask for his payment of 1/2 ham sandwich and a cigarette.
Listen, if he ain't asking, we don't have to pay.
You're just about to round the corner. You hear, oh, wait, fellas.
Ah, rats.
What is it, Tickles?
Have a good one.
Thanks, Tickles.
As you guys walk further and further along, it's about an hour and a half walking. Eventually, it's completely dark except for the lights around the city, street lamps, the passing of headlights. Finally, you make your way to the address you were given by Dick McCoy, your inside man. Outside, you do see the black Mercedes is just parked outside on the street. The left tire is flat and shot out. It looks like that wheel has sustained quite a lot of damage from just constantly rolling into the pavement completely unprotected, and it looks like it's in a lot worse shape than when you encountered it the other night. It's just outside of a really ratty, disgusting looking apartment building. You hear various couples fighting horrifically in the distance. A dog barks on the street. In the distance, you can either hear some people goofing around or somebody's being mugged. At this point, you can't tell the difference.
Well, it looks like we got our spot, Chuck. Way shittier apartment than I expected for such a nice car.
Way shittier. Seems like there's 6 couples arguing at the same time.
Yeah, and is that a couple people mugging each other,
Or just having a good time. We'll never know. Should we, get a better look at that car?
Good idea. Hank pulls out his buck knife from his ankle sheath and begins to jimmy the lock open on the car door.
Roll a sleight of hand check, please.
17.
The lock pops, the door swings open.
Hank pokes his head in and investigates.
Can you roll an investigation check for me, please?
35.
Okay, you see everything. Hank, you can tell that this is very expensive black leather, both on the seats, and the wood paneling up on the front is also indicative of something very, very pricey. This is an extremely high-end car, probably imported directly from Germany, especially because Mercedes doesn't have a ton of export, especially not in New York City right at this time. You can see a bunch of ashed cigarettes, probably indicating that somebody used this car to wait in for a very long time, judging by the amount of cigarette ash. You can also tell that besides the ashtray in the middle where all those cigarettes are, the car is almost impeccably clean on the inside, except for a few things that appear to have been placed there recently. You see an empty whiskey bottle rolling around the driver's seat, which looks like and smells like it was opened very recently, maybe within the past 6 hours. You see a couple of dirty footprints, also looking very fresh, not dry yet. And you also see a piece of paper with some illegible scribbles on it. If you look at it long enough, you can kind of make out a couple of numbers, but that's about it.
Chuck, by the looks of it, our guy can't be too far off.
Well, after you.
Hank goes and tries the front door of the building.
It's open, actually, just a little bit, so you're able to just pull it open.
Hank is going to roll an investigation check to see if muddy footprints tracked into the building.
Go ahead.
32.
You find the trail almost immediately, and you follow it all the way up to the 3rd floor. Eventually, you get to about the 4th door on your left. The footprints disappear.
After you, Chuck.
Oh, do you think we should maybe listen or something? We're like Hansel and Gretel following breadcrumbs.
Nah, just go ahead and bash it.
All right. Charlie kicks the door in with his massive foot.
Roll an athletics check.
23.
The door blasts off the hinges, slams into the ground, and 2 men, shocked, look up from their seated positions, one of which is playing solitaire sort of on a coffee table, the other of which is sitting on the radiator eating a ham sandwich. Gabe, Ryan, what does this apartment look like?
It's covered in grime. There's a thin layer of grime on everything.
There's a hole in the corner that is big enough for a rat, and a tail is poking its way out of it.
From the kitchen, you can see there's a sink, but there is no sink to be seen under a pile of dishes.
There's no bed, there's just a mattress on some bricks in the middle of the room.
We sleep in the same bed. A poster on the wall just reads, FDR did Pearl Harbor.
The 2 men jump to their feet, and Hank and Charlie enter the room.
Ding dong, it's the guy you shot.
Hey, what the hell?
That was our door!
Hank pulls out his revolver and points at the ham sandwich guy.
All right, here's the thing. I know we probably did something, but whatever it is, don't shoot me.
Are you the 2 assholes who own that Mercedes outside?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! The language.
Hank points the gun at that guy.
Okay. Yeah, it's our car, but we just got it last night.
From who?
Just wondering who's asking.
The 2 guys you shot at 2 nights ago from your Mercedes. Now, start talking.
Listen, Mr. Cary Grant, we didn't have this car 2 nights ago.
Hank, good work.
Hank gives a very subtle thumbs up.
May I just say, I was a big fan of It Happened One Night.
Hank and Charlie, as you look at these 2 for more than a couple of seconds, you can see that their eyes are bright red.
Hank holsters his revolver. Alright, clearly you 2 aren't the fellas who shot at us 2 nights ago, but we need your help finding out who did.
All right.
Who'd you buy the car from?
Hold on now. We still don't have your name, mister. What are you doing with famous actor Cary Grant?
Hank, play along. Oh, he's my butler. He comes with me everywhere I go, and he helps me. This is great.
Well, any friend of Mr. Grant's is a friend of ours.
Yeah, that's me, Hank the butler.
Listen, boys, I'm doing some research for my new role. I'm playing a guy that shoots at people from cars. You wouldn't happen to know anybody like that, would you?
Oh, tons of people. We're from the underworld.
Are you saying the underworld as in from Greek and or Roman mythology, or the criminal underworld?
Common misconception. Criminal.
All right, well, that was extremely helpful. Thank you for helping out a movie star.
Anything we can do for the show business. You know, we're involved ourselves.
Please tell us about it.
He's very enthusiastic about this.
Hank is pissed.
We're in a traveling show. We are the brothers.
Soup!
The brothers soup? Like the food soup?
Similar, spelled differently.
It's spelled Cioux. It's Creole.
So let me get this straight. You 2 are, underworld Creole criminals.
With a traveling act called the Soup Brothers?
Well, it's the brothers' soup, technically.
We should introduce ourselves. I'm Sidecar, and this is my brother.
Silas.
That's right, Sidecar and Silas Soup.
Wow, what a ridiculous apartment we walked into.
Okay, you still haven't told us who you bought the car from, god damn it.
Sorry, Mr. Butler.
That is his name.
Now I'm Mr. Butler?
Just play along. This is so fun.
We were deep in the red and needed a car real bad.
And we happened along a fellow who said, I got a car.
Naturally, we decided to buy.
With no questions asked.
Did you drive the car here? It's got a big flat.
Sure does. What a clunka-junka, huh?
We was clunking and junking all down the road.
Sounded like a cat in the radiator.
Before you were clunking and junking, were you stepping in some mud or some dirt?
Oh, yeah. You mean our boots? Sure. That junkyard sure was muddy.
Was the guy you bought it from speaking in a weird accent by any chance?
You mean like Japanese?
Just in any way other?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Then yes.
God damn it, I'm not looking to do who's on first with you here. I'm asking what this guy was like.
No, what's on second?
Listen, boys, I got a lot of big, important stuff to do at the movie studio, so if you could hurry this up and tell us who you got the car from.
If you want, we could take you to see him.
Oh, please, God, no.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Thank you, boys. But let's take a cab instead of your clunker junker.
I am a cab.
What?
He runs a rickshaw business.
Is this part of your act? Like, it's like who's on first, but it's who's a car or something? I don't get it.
Our act is very complicated.
Are you a cab, or are we gonna have to hail a cab? Because this is bullshit, Chuck. It's just so convoluted. I'm not tracking any of it.
Our audiences never do.
Listen, boys, if we go right now, maybe I can get you boys a job in one of my pictures. Let's go. But it's gotta be in the next 5 seconds, because we gotta get out of this room.
Sidecar and Silas's eyes go huge as they look at each other.
Jiminy Crickets!
Let's hop!
All four men tumble down the stairs, quickly trying to get outside. Eventually, they reach a main street. Hank puts his hand up, hails a cab. All four pile in, and Silas gives the cabbie the address.
2422689 Jefferson.
Did you just give me latitude?
I did.
He looks forward for a moment, sighs, goes to his glove compartment, pulls out a giant atlas. 2 minutes go by as he locates New York City. There it is. His finger traces the map. See, this, and it's New York. Got it. Okay. Puts the map away, closes up the glove compartment. It's been 5 minutes, and he peels out. And you guys are in traffic, smushed together in the back of a cab. Charlie is much too big for this car.
Mr. Grant, your body is very hard.
Yeah, I've been putting on weight for my next role. Eating a lot of very solid foods.
We ain't been eating much of nothing.
Ironically, mostly soup.
There's a little bit of awkward small talk made. Eventually, you guys do reach the address given. It is sort of in an abandoned plot of land in Brooklyn. Trash piles high to the sky, about 40 feet tall, these piles of trash. There's a lot of large mechanical objects such as early laundry machines, phonographs, sinks that have been like pulled out of walls during demolishing events. The whole thing is gated with a chain link fence topped with barbed wire.
Yep, this was the place.
So, how did you two get in here before?
We did our full routine.
I hate to ask, but what does that entail?
Knife throwing.
Hank, I know we're in the middle of something, but I gotta see this.
Okay, would you get out of my cab?
Sure thing, mister.
You'll have to excuse our friends. One of them's a car.
Just get out of my cab. The car speeds away. Everybody piles out onto the street. The two brothers take up positions. One of them stands up against a wooden fence, and the other pulls out some knives.
Prepare to witness the illustrious act of the Brothers Soup. Now I am going to hang my keister out in the wind for a knife to hopefully miss it.
Ha!
Hold the phone. You're telling me your act, where one of you sticks your ass out and the other one attempts to miss it while throwing a knife, is how you were able to bypass the chain link and razor wire fence to buy your car?
Watch and learn.
A knife whizzes through the air. 15. The knife embeds itself in the wooden fence directly next to Silas's butt.
Whoa! That was way closer than I thought it would be.
The fence opens.
What the hell?
Ta-da!
I have to admit when I'm wrong, that was pretty impressive. The door opening part, not the knife part.
And as all four of you move into the junkyard, you feel that same familiar foreboding of quiet. Sort of around the corner, about 100 feet into this junkyard, you hear a rustling in the trash. Something appears to be digging through something. You can see large pieces of metal and garbage being flung to the side as if being discarded, but you can't see what is throwing the items of trash.
Let me go check it out. Hank rolls a stealth check to scout out the noise in the trash. 28.
Hank, you start to creep towards the noise. As you reach the edge of a trash pile and you peek your head around the corner, you see a large man just sort of digging through a massive pile of trash, throwing large objects. You see several rats just like nibbling at his feet around him, frantically mumbling to himself as he's throwing trash over his shoulder, like looking for something very specific, it would seem. As you do round the corner, he stops. His ears perk up in an unnatural way. You see a golden band around his head. You can't really make out what it is, but you just see like he's wearing some sort of like headband. He sniffs the air. From a very short, stubby nose, you see a disgusting beard, a long, mangy bunch of hair, and then he goes back to digging through trash.
Hank goes back and relays that information to the rest of the group. Some sort of rat trash guy?
Oh yeah! That's a detail we should have mentioned.
I forgot some stuff.
Okay, no more bullshit. Tell us what's going on.
Alright. The Soup Brothers are nothing if not honest. Last night,
We bought a Mercedes from the Rat King.
What?
You know, the king of the rats.
tiny little nose, big old beard, white tuxedo, the Rat King. I'll tell you what, his face was weird, but that car was cheap.
I'll tell you what, my teeth feel funny.
Hey boys, is the Rat King a fellow we can just go up to and start a conversation with, or should we tread lightly here?
We chatted him up real nice.
But to be fair, we also smell like garbage.
We also brought him an offering of a seagull. You know, like he requested.
Do you guys not have a seagull?
I don't know. Cary Grant, do you have a seagull in your pocket?
I have awards from all the acting I've done.
Oh, shut up.
I'm having a great day.
I actually might have a seagull. It tends to be part of the act.
I'm gonna roll a luck check to see if you do happen to have a seagull on you.
I do! Right in my coat! The seagull's dead. That was Silas.
You think you could maybe, intro us?
Sure, I'll go make the exchange.
I'll also go.
Silas and Sidecar approach the Rat King.
Hank and Charlie only hear this from the other side of the trash heap.
I didn't care if it's still in the wrapper. I want it inside me. But... Seagull? Oh, but boys, the Soup Brothers. Excellent to see you, my lads. What have you brought me this time?
I'll give you a hint.
This one's dead, but that was Silas.
Can I guess? Is it a seagull?
Nailed it in one.
Oh, splendid. Bring it here.
This isn't all we brought you, Red King. We got some friends who really want to make your acquaintance.
Oh, lovely. Capital. I'd love to meet your friends.
You've ever seen the movies?
No, I'm not. I live in a trash heap.
Well, then this'll mean nothing to you. Hey, boys!
Hank and Charlie tentatively walk over to the trash heap where they're standing.
As you round the corner, you see...
The Rat King. Hugely fat. He's at least 600 pounds. Picture if Jabba the Hutt were a giant rat man. He's got short little stubby arms and legs. His weight is almost supported by some of the rat horde that surrounds his feet because he's so gargantuan. He's wearing a white tuxedo. He has a stubby, short snout, but it is attached to clearly a rat face with perky rat ears. He's got a tail coming out the back of the tuxedo. On his head, that gold headband is actually a tiara in the form of a rat horde that all sort of centers and twists around an emerald right in the center. The giant rat creature turns around, and the second he sees Charlie and Hank, he lets out a frightened squeal.
They found me out! Smoke bomb!
He throws down a smoke bomb, and a puff of smoke engulfs the whole area.
I got asthma!
Where'd he go? Does anybody see him?
What the hell is happening?
The smoke whips up into the air. Everybody roll a wisdom save to see if they can kind of track where the rat man seems to be fleeing to upon his horde of rats.
9.
12.
17.
Through the smoke, as you're all coughing and covering your mouths, Silas points,
That away.
gathers all of you, and pulls you through the smoke. Just as you exit the cloud, you see a sewer cap. You see a disgusting hand sort of pull it back into place and disappear down the sewer hole.
Okay, alright. I get not mentioning the gate or not even mentioning that the guy you met, lived in the trash. But not mentioning that this guy was a 600-pound rat creature man with a horde of rats around his head, that's unacceptable.
Hey, the whole night was a little cocaine-y. We might have forgot some of the details.
Most of the details.
And yet you two don't seem alarmed at all.
It's all part of the act, Mr. Butler.
Vaudeville, baby!
You're telling us this is still part of the ass knife throwing routine? You're definitely getting a part in one of my pictures. Charlie takes Hank aside. Hank, I know these boys are a little odd and we can in no way trust them, but it might be good to have a couple extra guys down there if we're gonna follow that guy in the sewer. Sorry I'm getting caught up in all this, but it's so fun.
Lead the way, Mr. Grant.
All right, boys, sewer ho! Charlie gets a hold of the manhole cover and hurls it into the junkyard and ushers everybody down into the sewer.
As you all plop down, your shoes immediately get soaked with sewage. The smell is unbelievable. On the wall, sort of in an intricate design, there are tons and tons of little animal bones like pasted to the side of the ceiling, on which it says, "Welcome to the domain of the glorious Rat King."
Oh, come on. The domain of the Rat King?
I know last night was a bit cocaine-y, as you said, but does any of this seem familiar? Have you been here before?
It smells like our childhood home.
And I will say I have a distinct memory of bones.
Hank takes stock of the sewer tunnel to see if he can tell where the Rat King went.
You can sort of hear a lot of echoing laughter, but there's only one main pipe directly in front of you that you can only assume is where this rat has gone. Further in the distance, down that pipe, you can hear a distant laughter and lots of squeaking.
Sounds like the party's happening down that way.
Well, officers, it seems we're playing on my home turf. Right this way?
And you hear a sort of series of tiny splashes echoing off into the distance.
You heard the man, Mr. Grant. Why don't you lead the way down this shit tunnel?
Let's do it.
You trudge along this disgusting sewer. The water rushes past your feet. You see a rat riding a little piece of poop.
Old shit river, that old shit river. I don't know the next part.
And eventually you reach the end of this big main pipe, and it leads out into a large square room filled with sewage water where all these main pipes appear to be dumping into. In the middle of this room, there is a small pedestal in the center, and a single rat just sits upright and staring at you guys.
Well, it seems you boys in blue have gotten wise to my arrangement with the germ. Hope you're clever enough to find your way out of this little pickle.
You see the shadow of this giant rat king on the wall of the tube directly past this rat in front of you.
Scamper time!
He takes one step very quickly, and then you see the shadow immediately trip and roll out of frame.
Hold on a second. German. Hank, didn't we hear something in German the night that we got shot? I'm pretty sure somebody said something like, "Schießen?"
Oh, Jason? Like fire. Like shoot?
Yeah, that's it. How'd you know that?
Had to learn it for the act.
What is this act?
This rat squeaks in the middle of the room. You all turn your heads and you see this thing just standing on two legs looking at you. Just sort of hops down off into the water, but there's like a little step, so it's just standing with its 2 feet submerged in the water, and it's still looking up at you.
Try talking to it.
What? Talking to the rat?
You hear 3 little squeaks.
Hank, we've gotten this far, and we've seen way crazier stuff today. Maybe we should try listening to these two goons.
All right. Hello, Mr. Rat.
No. talking rat.
Charlie.
I don't know, squeak a little.
Squeak. 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 Where Squeak did Squeak he go Squeak? How was that?
Absolutely nothing happens.
Hank furiously whips a playing card at the rat's head.
Roll an attack roll.
27.
Yeah, the head just comes right off the rat.
Yeah, that's what you get, you rat. That's what you get for embarrassing me in front of these two assholes.
Whoa, he could have a family.
He most likely does.
Let me see if there's anything left inside the body.
Sidecar goes to examine the dead rat carcass.
As you guys get down this ladder into this main collection chamber, you see a rat pop out of the water, crawl up, examine the dead body of the rat that's been beheaded, sniff, sniff, and then it looks up at all of you. And then just to the left of it, a tiny little button on a tiny little pedestal, just like a mechanical little clock, pops out of the ground, and the rat holds up its arm and just rests its hand on a little red button on top.
If there's one thing I know about red buttons, they always do something good.
Hello again, everybody. George here, briefly interrupting once again to give a shout out to our friends over at the Mage Hand Press. These guys write tons of incredible homebrewed Dungeons & Dragons content on their website, magehandpress.com. One more time, that's magehandpress.com. And for years, this has been my absolute favorite site for extra D&D content, and you should all swing by their online store and check out their beautiful PDFs. Their Lovecraft Handbook has inspired tons of this story, and if you feel like playing an awakened golem in your campaign at home, like Big Charlie, well, now you can. These guys have just released a character race PDF of the awakened golem, which details everything that makes Big Charlie, so give that a look ASAP. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Your support means the world to us, and please tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to get this podcast spread around and ensure that we can keep making these tall tales as tall as possible. All right, now let's get back into that sewer. The rat looks to Charlie. The rat looks to the two vaudevillian men. It presses the button. The water stops. No water is now coming in from any of the pipes. There's a moment of total silence. And then you just hear a dim squeaking. And then it starts to echo and get a little louder. You start to hear as if it's thunderously raining. The squeaking becomes deafening. And then rats just pour out of all of the pipes and start suicide diving down into the bottom until eventually there's a pile of dead rats big enough for the rats to use that pile of dead rats as a cushion for their fall. And then they start to swarm you.
All right, guys, I got a lot of knives. I'm not good at throwing them, but I'm great at using them.
I'll get my ass out.
Hank pulls out his buck knife and just starts slashing through rats like he's an explorer going through the jungle towards the ladder where the Rat King came from.
As you're whipping your buck knife back and forth, you are beheading rats left and right, but they are just constantly coming. Can you roll a dex save for me?
24.
You seem to be eliminating a lot of like the bigger rats that are the size of small house cats, and you are making your way towards the ladder pretty quickly. Charlie, can you make a dex save for me? And Silas and Sidecar, you guys are gonna make a dex save for me as well.
14.
11.
Nat 20.
Silas is blasting forward, totally leaving Hank in the dust. He is moving past tons and tons of the rats, just getting very lucky with the horde movement.
Ass flapping in the wind, Silas pulls out a giant shotgun.
Where the hell was that a minute ago?
Again, real cocaine-y.
Who cares where it came from? Use it!
Silas squeezes the remainder of the bag of cocaine into his mouth like Popeye and starts shooting away.
Charlie, the rats are totally swarming you, but they are just biting into rock, and they really can't get through any of your skin. Sidecar, you are also moving effectively through the rats just behind Silas. All of you make another dex save for me really quick.
2.
25.
3.
15.
Charlie is completely covered in rats, but he looks like a giant humanoid constructed out of rats and is still moving towards the ladder. Silas and Sidecar, however, kind of get mobbed by a particularly large wave of rats, and they get knocked backward. Silas whips up his shotgun and starts blasting into this wave, while Sidecar is randomly knifing anything that gets too close to them.
Fellas, we need some help over here.
Everybody make one more dex save.
5. 8.
16.
Nat 20.
Sidecar trips, lands full on his face into the dirt. Rats immediately start just gnawing at his legs, and you can see where they've started at his legs. They're starting to strip flesh away pretty fast. However, Silas pulls up the shotgun, takes a shot, and Sidecar's feet are gone. He totally blasts Sidecar's feet off his body, but the rats are totally gone. They scatter from where the shells hit. He grabs Sidecar, puts him on his back, and blasts past all of you and gets to the ladder.
All part of the act, baby!
Charlie, you're starting to get slowed down by the rats, but again, you seem relatively unaffected. You're just like really hampered by them. You're sort of picking them off and throwing them off you, but they're getting on you just as fast as you're getting them off.
Get off, get off!
Hank, you are also at the ladder behind Silas and Sidecar. Everybody make a strength check to see how fast we can get up the ladder.
Nat 20.
11.
11.
I got no feet.
As all of you reach the ladder, Silas starts climbing, and as soon as he gets about halfway up, he loses a grip on Sidecar, and Sidecar begins to fall back towards the ground. And then from the ground, a rat-covered Charlie looks up, catches him in his hands. A couple of rats start crawling on top of Sidecar, nibbling him, but it's nothing compared to what would have happened if he had been engulfed in the rats that now completely cover the ground. Charlie puts him on his back and begins climbing behind Hank. Everybody make one last strength check for me.
17.
12.
Nat 20.
Everybody gets up the ladder and finally gets into the next tunnel. The rats start streaming up the ladder after you, but Charlie takes the ladder off the hinges and buys you a bunch of time, as a lot of the rats are unable to climb the slick walls and have to just sort of bank on the fact that either there are going to be enough rats to leak themselves over the wall of this tunnel, or they're all just going to be in this pit forever and die.
All right, we gotta move. We don't have much time. Come on, down the pipe. I know Katharine Hepburn!
You all splash down the pipe, but now there are only 3 sets of splashes because a 4th pair of feet is no longer involved in the splashing. Sidecar is losing a lot of blood, but he still seems like he is conscious. Silas has tied the ends of his pants off in knots so as to sort of stem blood flow. It's not at all a permanent fix, but it seems to be keeping Sidecar conscious to some degree.
Remember what they say in show business, never let them see you bleed.
Eventually, you make your way to a second opening. This one is a lot smaller, and you see vents lining all of the walls.
I'm sorry, officers, if you're looking for the Germans, they're not here. They only come on Wednesdays. Tally-ho!
And after he says tally-ho, you can see the shadow of this huge beach ball of a creature being carried away by basically a carpet of rats.
It's a pretty straight path to follow him. It's just down this hallway with all the vents on either side of you, but the vents definitely look a little suspicious.
Hank rolls to see if he can glean anything by looking at the vents. 12.
You smell mint.
Anyone else smell mint?
I mostly smell quarters and copper at this point. I'm losing a lot of blood.
Hey, Silas, why don't you take point on this one?
Sure thing. I'll just waltz down this hallway.
Silas takes Sidecar from Charlie, puts him on his back, and they just saunter down the hallway, and as they hit this tripwire, you hear a snap, a giant as a rock falls into place somewhere unseen, and then gas just explodes from the vents on either side. Silas stands still. He turns around, looks at you two.
Minty!
It's just gaseous peppermint being exploded from either side. You hear a laughter over the intercom.
Peppermint oil, the bean of any rat. Enjoy suffocating to death, humans.
So it's just mint? Like it just smells nice?
It smells very nice.
Well, that's a relief. I was expecting it to be poison gas.
Well, you may have survived this room, but if you've come for my puzzle box or my gold, you won't get it.
Listen, pal, we don't want your gold or whatever. We want to know who the Germans are.
Roll a persuasion check for me.
6.
And you're going to take a -5 penalty because you are out of sight. So it's not a natural 1, but that is a 1. Rat King, they want your puzzle box.
You'll not have my precious puzzle box, pig, nor my hard-earned gold from the Germans.
The laughter echoes along the pipes and fades out.
I gave that man 2 seagulls, and this is what I get.
As you approach this third and final trial that the Rat King has set up, you reach a fork in the pipe, and each exit is blocked by a giant metal door both of which have a large electrical panel in the side wall with a little light bulb above it. You hear a little intercom buzz just above both doors.
Why don't the four of you just turn back? There's still a chance for you to escape with your lives. Unlike me. Unfortunately, gluttony and loneliness coalesce into the bricks of the prison that you cannot chew yourself out of. Trust me, I have attempted.
Hank gives a sidelong glance to Charlie and rolls his eyes.
You'll never get my puzzle box. It still has gifts yet to give, like this exquisite tiara. Before the tiara, I was but a hopeless wretch who lived in the junkyard. I did not see the yard for what it truly is. A veritable palace, a Taj Mahal. The greatest obstacle to building my kingdom became the greatest tool, my mind.
The investigators hear the squeaks of rats approaching the mic and the sound of something being grabbed and just the Rat King tearing into what's probably a huge hock of ham.
Yes, you know, you'll be surprised how many delectable items are thrown out, discarded by your kind. One man's trash is another rat creature's feast. Each dumpster is an edible arrangement. Each gutter a cornucopia. I positively can...
Shut up already! Oh my god!
Insolent fools! I'm afraid you'll lose more before the day is out. Before you lie two doors. One shall lead to your certain death. The other to my beloved puzzle box. If you lay a hand on it, I'll surely kill you. So really both doors lead to certain death. And thus, the third of the three trials of the Rat King begins!
This is honestly a quite average evening for us.
You know, as a person who reads a lot of scripts, I feel like he should have introduced this when he first met us. Maybe saying, hey, you guys are gonna experience some trials, right? It'd be less confusing.
Definitely.
Would have appreciated that.
Sure.
All right, which door should we pick?
Why don't we just open both?
Yeah, is there a rule against that?
Yeah, he didn't say any rules about opening two doors.
But wait, if one of them leads to certain death, we don't know what that means. There could be a whole swarm of rats behind one door.
Well, he already did the rats.
Yeah, he's not gonna double down on the rats.
The lights flicker on, you hear a whir, and you hear a very classic zapping noise, but you can't tell which door the noise is coming from.
Oh, there it is.
Maybe it's not what we think. Maybe the trials just get more and more fun as we go through. You know, mean rats, fun peppermint smell. Who knows what this is?
Maybe the third trial is learning to accept ourselves.
Seems like one of these doors is electrified. What if I use my special, knowing Ingrid Bergman powers to try each door and see which one is electrified without getting shocked?
Boy, I wish we were celebrities.
Charlie tries door number 1.
Call odds or even.
Odds.
The door explodes in electricity. You see blue lightning shoot across all of Charlie's clothing. The clothing lights on fire immediately. Charlie, however, seems completely unfazed and is looking at you guys, sort of confused as to why everyone's staring at him in a horrified way, and then realizes he's being electrocuted, supposedly. Charlie, can you roll a performance check to pretend to be electrocuted?
3.
Okay, what's that sound like?
Oh, wow, ow, oh, ow, yikes.
What an incredible actor.
Charlie, all your clothes are on fire, but you're pretty sure you know which door is which.
I think it's this one.
Hey, Cary Grant, stop, drop, and roll. That's what people do when they're on fire.
Oh, of course. I am a master of the human condition. Whoa, roll.
Can you make a dex save for me to put yourself out?
11.
You do put yourself out, but your clothes are really patchy, and you can see your gray granite skin is poking through pretty obviously, but these guys are so coked out, there is nothing they will give a crap about when they look at. So they're actively looking at your spots as if it's nothing.
Syphilis, huh?
You go to open the other door, and as it swings open, you pull the latch. There's a big clang, a long, low creaking, and you see before you a massive throne room composed entirely of small animal bones. All the way towards the back of these bone pillars, 4 in a row, all the way down this marrow cathedral, you see a gigantic shrine with a beautiful pedestal, and on top, there is a lit and cushioned box sitting at the end. Above that pedestal, a giant throne of rats, living, breathing, swirling rats, and sitting amongst them is the Rat King with his golden emerald tiara.
Well, you've made it through my trials. Perhaps you'll be clever enough to get into my magic box after all. For while it hath granted me control over my children and the wisdom of Odin, it has also become the Hades to my Tantalus. Unable to unlock the secret to its magical delights, I am bound to hell.
Hank shoots him. It's a 15.
That's a hit. Roll damage. And add sneak attack damage because this is a big surprise.
20 damage.
The bullet tears through his upper right clavicle.
I've been struck!
The Rat King reaches down under his throne of rats, pulls a rat out, snaps its spine in half with his hands, and just goes to town on it and gains 20 HP back.
You see the wound sort of meld back together and heal up.
So is that a thing we can all do? Because I would have eaten a lot of rats by this point.
It seems you officers have met your match. The Rat King of the Sewer.
Silas pulls down his pants, and Sidecar whips out a knife.
Sidecar tries throwing a knife into the eye of the Rat King.
Roll an attack with disadvantage. He's about 100 feet down this hallway.
I first rolled a 20, and then I rolled a 3.
The knife clatters to the ground about 60 feet out.
Part of the act, working out the kinks.
Gesundheit!
Charlie charges headfirst through the rats to try to get to the Rat King.
Okay, you make it about 80 feet and you're about 20 feet away from him. Rat King, what are you doing now that he's approaching?
Rat King moves to the side in an attempt to sidestep Charlie and readies himself for an attack.
The Rat King takes the dodge action. Next, we're moving on to Hank.
Hey, you guys have some weird stuff in your pockets. You have any booze on you?
Literally always.
He definitely has booze on him. He pulls out a little glass bottle full of whiskey.
I do mind if you have it, but you can have it.
Also, my wounds.
Hank takes it with zero care for Sidecar's wounds and fashions it into a Molotov cocktail.
Oh, a spicy Tom.
A spicy Tom, and runs as far as he can towards the Rat King.
Sidecar starts dragging his body towards the puzzle box in an attempt to solve the puzzle box.
He gets to crawling as hard as he can and gets about 40 feet. He's 60 feet away from the puzzle box.
Silas reaches into his pocket and pulls out a little pinwheel hat and spins the propeller so hard that he attempts to lift himself off the ground.
Silas, you spin the hat and you suddenly feel your body lift off the ground.
Whoa!
And he looks down and there are hundreds of rats scooping him from his feet off the ground and are swarming up and under him.
Less good! Silas takes a shotgun and aims down at his own feet and fires. Botch.
That is a 1. That is a critical failure. The feet are gone. The shotgun blast reverberates off the walls. The rats scurry away because the sound does scare them, but you basically just fall off your ankles.
Ah! It's all part of the act, baby!
You have got to be kidding me.
Charlie attempts to grapple the Rat King.
First, you need to make a strength check to try to get to the Rat King, because as you get within 5 feet of him, a wave of rats lifts up in front of you and tries to block your path in a steel curtain kind of formation.
28.
Yeah, you truck right through him, the rats go everywhere, and you are at him. Make a strength check to try to grapple the Rat King.
20.
Charlie, you grab the Rat King by the throat.
Charlie yells, "Call off the rats! Call off the rats!"
Roll an intimidation check.
21.
He does call off the rats from the 2 in the back, but they are starting to swarm towards you.
Charlie goes into a rage, sending his rocks shooting through his clothes as they all become sharper and spikier.
Okay, Rat King. Time to go bananas.
Charlie punches him twice.
Roll 2 attacks.
27. 26.
Both are big hits. Roll damage for both.
18. 10.
The Rat King's face just breaks under your hand. You see his nose just go immediately so crooked.
This will not do. Save me, my lovelies, please and thank you. And thank you especially.
The Rat King gnaws into one of his rats and gains 20 HP back.
Hank takes out his Zippo lighter, lights a Molotov cocktail, and chucks it at the biggest chunk of rats that are running towards Charlie.
Yeah, they all go up in flames. There's a massive spreading of fire as the liquor splashes. And now this is an area, while it's burning for the next couple of seconds, that the rats are avoiding and kind of backing away from. You've bought Charlie some time.
Sidecar reaches into his coat, pulls out some knives, and uses them like picks into the side of a mountain to drag himself even faster towards the puzzle box.
Sidecar, you get an extra 5 feet out of this. You are so close to the puzzle box, just a mere 15 feet away. You can see it. You're about to get up the staircase to the pedestal where it's resting.
Silas hoists himself onto his stumps and javelin throws the shotgun towards Hank.
Roll an athletics check. 17, it lands in his hands.
Well, thank you kindly, Silas. Hank cocks the shotgun.
The rats begin to swarm around the fire, but you have bought Charlie some time, and there is a little bit of a delay, so they're not quite at Charlie yet. However, some of the rats have been distracted by their little detour and are moving faster and faster towards Silas.
Hank takes an opportunity attack to blast some of the rats with his shotgun.
Yeah, everywhere you shoot, you hit. You don't even need to roll an attack roll. A lot fewer rats are now heading towards Silas, but he's going to have to deal with a little bit of an ambush here.
Incoming, Silas!
I figured.
Charlie attacks the Rat King 3 times.
Go ahead, roll your 3 attacks.
24, 28, 11.
2 of those are hits, the third is a miss. Roll your damage.
16, 16. Charlie knees the Rat King in the groin, and then while he's doubled over, lands an uppercut on his chin.
When you go to swipe at him a third time, the rats sort of carry him back like a wave going back out to sea.
Rat King is going to move further away from Charlie and further towards Sidecar. No, my precious box! The Rat King lobs his hook right at Sidecar.
Roll an attack roll.
10.
The hook clatters to the side and misses.
He's gonna reel the hook in and try again.
Like a fishing reel, this thing cranks back in. The Rat King grabs it again and throws it once more.
16.
This one lands and hooks directly into his shoulder. Roll damage, Rat King.
14.
As the hook pierces his body, the Rat King yanks on it and starts cranking it back in 30 feet, and Sidecar is pulled up to his butt and dragged backwards towards the Rat King, bleeding profusely.
Oh, today's not going well.
Sidecar is brought before the Rat King by all these little rats.
That'll teach you to lay hands on my puzzle box, you thieving rapscallion!
Hank runs up to where Sidecar and the Rat King are and levels a called shot with the shotgun at the Rat King's crank-holding arm.
Take a -5 and roll attack.
23.
That is a hit. Roll your damage.
20 damage.
The arm drops the crank, and Sidecar falls to the ground.
Hank scoops Sidecar over his shoulder in a fireman's carry and disengages.
Yeah, pulls him out, and you back up 5-10 feet away from the Rat King.
Sidecar takes the shotgun from Hank and over Hank's shoulder fires off another round at the Rat King. 5.
It goes wild, and the shotgun's out of ammo. Silas, you have a bunch of rats around you, but nothing that's gonna totally tear you apart yet.
Silas yells, "Remember me as a vaudevillian!" Then squeezes blood from his own legs in an attempt to attract all of the rats.
Roll an animal handling check.
20.
All of the rats stop as they smell a massive increase in blood. They stand up, turn their heads,
Come and get it!
and they do. All of the rats stop moving, except for the ones that are keeping the Rat King upright in his little living throne. Book it towards Silas and immediately cover him.
Ow! Jesus! Oh! It's just blood. Oh, God. Oh, no.
You're doing great, buddy. Keep it up.
Hang in there, Silas. I got a juicy part in my next movie for a couple of charming amputees. Charlie slaps the Rat King right across the face.
There are not enough rats to prevent you from getting to them because they are all consuming Silas, so you get right to him. Roll an attack.
22.
That's a hit.
Charlie backhand slaps the Rat King across the face. 18.
Hit.
Charlie once again front hand slaps the Rat King across the face with his big rock hand. 26.
Also a hit. 3 slaps, roll damage.
40 damage.
You can hear the vertebrae in the Rat King's neck crack and even splinter a little bit on the third slap.
This is for Silas. This is for my friend's legs. And this is for that monologue, you nebbish piece of shit.
Hey, nice one.
Thanks.
Rat King spits blood into both of Charlie's eyes and then reaches down and grabs another rat to chow down on.
The blood does spatter over Charlie's face. Charlie, you can largely still see it's not super effective. The Rat King does consume a rat and gain 20 hit points.
Hey, man. You'll have to toss me.
What?
Throw me towards the box.
All right, just remember you asked me to. Hank throws Sidecar as far as he can towards the box.
Roll an athletics check.
25.
He lands on the top step. All you need to do is reach your hand up.
Hank goes to shoot the Rat King with the shotgun, but discovers it's empty, so he throws it down and uses his revolver instead. 14.
That is a miss. The bullet goes wide. Sidecar, you are at the pedestal.
Sidecar grabs the puzzle box.
He struggles up to the pedestal, pulls the puzzle box off the blue cushion. You hear a pressure pad release. You hear a door open up above you. There's a large pipe just above this thing, and then rats just pour out of the top all over Sidecar.
It looks like Cary Grant is not the only actor here.
Pushing rats aside weakly, Sidecar attempts to still open the puzzle box.
You're going to have to make an unbelievable investigation check right now. Go ahead.
2.
Sidecar, from within the rats, is trying to solve the puzzle box as quickly as possible while being devoured. He moves a little bead in place that's locked into the surface of it. It begins to glow. The rats immediately part and leave him alone. He looks like he has been bitten the hell up, looks in terrible shape, barely alive.
Fellas, I solved it.
And then the puzzle box shoots a bright light out all over his face, and it completely melts.
Oh, it's a pretty... Oh, part of the act!
Thank you for that illuminating information, my lad.
Oh, fuck you!
Oh, fuck you!
Silas, what are you doing from within the rats as you're being devoured?
Silas attempts to eat a rat for health.
You do manage to bite down on a rat and kill it and chew it, and you think you're gaining health as your body begins to go numb and you begin to leave the world.
I'll show you, Rat King. I'll eat all these.
Suddenly, you see Silas's head removed from his body and carried away on a separate tide of rats.
Shame. I was always fond of those soup brothers.
Charlie attempts to grab one of the Rat King's legs to snap it in two. 14.
You miss?
He tries again. 26.
That's a hit. Roll your damage.
15.
The leg does snap.
Rat King is going to move closer to Blackstone and try to sink his hook into him.
Charlie, as an opportunity attack, tries to tackle the Rat King to the ground. 14.
The Rat King goes down to the ground. The rats finish devouring Silas, take a moment, and they start charging back towards you guys. Hank, they are at you. I need you to make a dexterity save to escape the horde overcoming you.
16.
Yeah, you manage to sidestep them, but you do take a couple of bites to the ankles. Take 5 damage.
Charlie grabs the Rat King's head and slams it into the ground 3 times.
Roll an attack.
16.
Hit.
22.
Hit.
12.
Miss. Roll damage twice.
15. 17. Eat the floor. Eat the floor.
The Rat King props himself up, turns over and looks at you, spits more blood into your face and says,
More blood, rats. Feast, my children, feast.
the rats start shooting past Hank and about to climb onto Charlie.
The Rat King slams his hook into Charlie's neck. Nat 20.
That's gonna do double damage.
40 damage.
Charlie, this thing finds a weird groove in your shoulder. It pierces in and you feel 2 rocks, like where your shoulder and your neck connect, crack open like a fissure.
Ho-ho!
The Rat King appears to be ready to rend Charlie in half.
Hank goes to attack the Rat King. 24.
Roll your damage.
27.
Describe the kill.
Hank gets up close, says, "Get your dirty hook out of my pal," puts his revolver right up to the Rat King's temple, and blows his brains out.
The Rat King falls to the floor with a thud. All of the rats freeze and then scatter like wild rats, not like an organized formation anymore. The tiara falls off onto the floor. You pick it up as it's rolling past you. You feel the warmth and the magic running through it.
Hank rubs some of the grime off of it.
It looks shiny and expensive.
Hank pockets the tiara and then turns to Chuck. "Chuck, can we go now? I mean, 2 men are dead. This guy wasted all of our time, and we still don't know jack all about the goddamn Germans.
We do know that they come here on Wednesdays.
That's true.
What day is it today?
It's Tuesday.
Sleep over in the sewer? I kid. Let's get out of here.
You guys walk back the way you came, grabbing the puzzle box on your way out. As you walk past all the rooms you've previously been in, the rats are gone and scattered. They run away from you as you approach. You guys get out of the sewer, no problem. At this point, it's like 5 in the morning. You've been down here for like hours, just traversing through pipes in between trial rooms. The bodies of Silas and Sidecar will be forever forgotten in the sewers, most likely. And you make your way back home.
Charlie starts whimpering a little bit.
Oh, what's wrong, Chuck?
Nothing. That was just the best day of my entire life. I mean, I know 2 people are dead, and we never really quite got to the bottom of the Rat King's whole situation, and the puzzle box just seems to be a mystery, but for one day, I felt human. Thanks for putting up with me today.
Chuck, I'm sorry. Look, I know that I can talk too much and steamroll you sometimes, but you're human to me every day of the week. You're my best pal.
You have no idea how much that means to me. What was their act?
You know what? I was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. Hank and Charlie walk out of the dump and down the street towards their home and their favorite bar, the sitting room. Let's break it down. So, first part of their act, Silas takes out his ass.
He was the ass man.
Then Sidecar
The knife man.
takes out a knife and throws it with the express purpose of not hitting Silas's ass.
Then one of them pulls out a seagull from their pocket that they maybe have.
It's dead, but Silas does the noise for it as if it's alive.
Right, but then Sidecars admits that it's all a big scam, and Silas is the one doing the seagull noise, completely ruining the illusion.
Yeah, and outright saying this seagull is dead.
Then, maybe I'm skipping a couple steps, but they sing a song called Old Shit River.
Yeah, a spoof song of the classic song Old Man River.
Right, clearly.
And they sing that together, but don't know any of the words.
They say some words in German.
Yeah, German's a big part of it, but they did not expand on that.
No, I don't even know if they said any words in German. They just knew what one word meaning shoot meant.
Then, at some point, Silas shoots off both of their feet with a shotgun, and then Sidecar kills himself with a laser blast to the face.
And they traveled the country with this and do it almost every night.
Hot damn, that's one hell of an act.
We cut back down into the sewer. We see 2 disgusting, writhing, fleshy masses, and we slowly start to realize as this process goes on of flesh arranging itself, it's Silas and Sidecar, the demons from the underworld, regenerating in the sewer.
Hell of an act tonight, brother.
I agree, great crowd.
Hank and Charlie walk into the sitting room, are greeted by their favorite blind bartender, Jake.
Hey, Jake.
Hey there, Hank. Didn't see you come in.
Never heard that one before.
And as Jake begins mixing them a drink, we fade out.
Watch your step when the path is slick. The shadows here can play a dirty trick. And moonlight's such a fickle guide. So watch your step when you step outside.
This has been a Hero Club production, produced by Nick Williams and George Primavera, with associate producers Marty Abbey Schneider and Dylan McCollum. Voice acting by George Primavera, Nick Williams, Jack Quaid, Ryan Bowers, Gabe Greenspan, Marty Abbey Schneider, and Dylan McCollum. Theme song written and performed by Matthew McCollum. Special thanks to musicians Alan Gray, Kevin McLeod, and Chill Carrier, and to Marty Abbey Schneider for his incredible artwork. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the club.
The river's wide, your only friends have surely died. So watch your step, it's critical you don't botch your step. Oh, watch your step.
carry granite.
It was the same joke I was gonna make.
Can we say it together?
Yeah.
More like carry granite. Oh no.
Keep all of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Keep
keep that whole
that
thing.
whole chunk.